that intro.
All right, Tom here, and boy, am I glad to be here with Eli from Dark Hinds of the Cold North. From the Cold
Yes.
North. I can never remember if it's from or of.
It's too many words, I think, for a title, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, Hi, Eli, if you could go ahead. I'm
Yeah.
still not happy with my camera positioning. I screwed
I
that up.
know. I was fine for like the first 5 minutes we were talking, and then I then I'm like, I need to move it around and start fidgeting with it. And then I couldn't either.
I'm just gonna get a new webcam that's not as wide as this. This is just way too wide.
Yeah, I need better equipment and stuff too. Yeah.
All right. Today, we were going to talk about the 1989 film Gleaming the Cube, starring Christian Slater, the skateboarding murder mystery. And keep in mind, this will be a spoiler discussion if anyone's watching.
No holds barred on this one.
Yeah.
Tom's
So,
gonna throw sand in your eyes when you don't
yeah.
see it coming.
Yeah. And the, and then we're waiting on Chris from Depeche Commode said he wanted to join us today. So
Heck
I'm
yeah.
be checking my phone. And Gleaming the Cube, curiously, it is not available on Blu-ray or 4K, and I'm not really sure why. Because sometimes with these movies that don't get released on Blu-ray, it's because there's all these famous songs on the soundtrack, and
Oh.
and then at least especially for films from the 70s and early 80s, like they would license the soundtrack maybe for television and for film, and then like VHS would come out and Laserdisc would come out, and they would have to relicense all of the songs.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And then there's some cases, there's one famous example, the movie Two Lane Blacktop, which is absolutely one of my favorite movies of all time, with Warren Oates.
I haven't seen it. I love War Notes though.
From 1971, I think. It had
Okay.
never been available on VHS until Anchor Bay put it out, maybe at like 2000.
Okay.
And then, and the major reason was there's a Doors song on the soundtrack,
Oh, I
and
think I've heard this before.
they tried to license it, and the people who deal with the Doors publishing wanted, for just a little snippet of the Doors song, wanted, I think, $250,000
Jesus.
just for that.
God.
And then so there was this petition, that Scarecrow Video, which is a famous video store in Seattle, which I think is still there.
I think so, if I remember correctly. Yeah.
And then eventually Ray Manzarek got wind of it and made sure that they got it for free.
Oh, that's so cool.
And I think he fired the guy that
the manager or whatever.
Yeah. But this could be just, it's one of the things you just see like on on forums years ago.
Yeah.
So I don't know the extent of the truth, but
yeah,
that's just an example. So that's sometimes a lot of reasons why certain movies never get re-released. It's just the music rights are too expensive is one reason, and there are others. But this did briefly had a DVD release in the late 90s in the US, and I think it has been released on DVD around the world.
I gotta try to find a copy.
But this would be like a perfect thing for like Vinegar Syndrome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they put out Rad, and that was a huge deal, because that kind of kickstarted their company, to me anyways.
Yeah.
So I assume we are actually live.
Yeah, we have been for almost 5 minutes.
Okay. Wow. I'm going off and on. Yeah. So is there any interesting movie news? The only, like, today was Record Store Day, so this was the first time.
Shit, I forgot.
This was the first time I ever waited in line for Record Store Day. I waited it ended up taking the whole thing ended up taking 2 hours.
Damn. What was there something you had in mind to get? I assume.
Yeah, but the few things I didn't get. There was the Deicide Once Upon a Cross vinyl reissue.
Cool. Such a good album. Oh, did it have the original cover art?
I assume so, because
That would be so cool to have the. You know what I mean? I assume the
because
OG, the unused.
you have to open it to see the.
That's true.
Yeah, so I
That's true.
assume it did. I probably should have checked that before buying it, because I probably wouldn't want it, but they didn't have it anyways.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
I have not. To be honest, I didn't check this year on Record Store Day, so I don't know what they have. A lot of years I take a peek, but yeah, I didn't.
yeah, so I didn't actually own this on physical media. Like, I had it on MP3.
Mhm.
And that's Eternal Idol.
Oh
Black
yeah,
Sabbath.
great album. Yeah.
So this to me is the best Tony Martin Black Sabbath album. I know I did get a soundtrack, so that's what I'm leading to. So this is not movie related, obviously, but
Yeah.
to me this is a very underrated Black Sabbath album, and I didn't have it
So
at
underrated.
all.
It's amazing.
And I've never had it.
Mhm. Well, it's been hard to find for a long time.
Yeah, it did get reissued on CD, and I
Mhm.
was thinking of buying that, but then I just got that. And then this one I've been waiting. This is from the mid 90s. This has never been on vinyl until today. And the CD is really hard to find. And this is just something I would listen to on Spotify. But this is really great. This is the Grays. What the fuck? Rochambeau. So this is just a one-off album band. There's this power pop band from the 90s called Jellyfish. I don't know if you've heard of them.
The name might sound familiar, but I doubt it's something that I've really heard.
But they're so great. They only put on two albums. I should get my phone over here. They only put out 2 albums. They're sort of like They're sort of like Sgt. Pepper's meets Pet Sounds meets Queen.
That sounds cool.
But in the 90s, when no one gave a shit.
Yeah.
So now they're like really cult classic, and even because I watch other vinyl community channels, like older folk that are into like the Beatles, except Rolling Stones, Beach Boys.
Okay. Yeah.
And even a lot of them, at least now, have picked up on Jellyfish and are big fans. It's sort of a band your mom could get into if she
Yeah, totally. That's cool. I might look
but
into that.
This album is really great. It's more especially the second Jellyfish album is very produced and very Queen influenced, like incredibly like in Sgt. Pepper, very incredibly layered.
Yeah.
So this is what's his face? Jason. Well, it's John Bryan, who later became a composer. He did the music for Magnolia and Synecdoche, New York.
Okay.
And then did an album with Fiona Apple, and he did a bunch of movies. It's him and Jason Faulkner from Jellyfish. And to me, it's kind of sounds like Jellyfish, but kind of stripped down and raw. So yeah, that's
cool.
So not as produced, but I think I haven't re-listened to the whole thing yet, but I think that album's really great. And I don't think anyone really knows about it.
Yeah.
It was a very short-lived thing.
Yeah.
Oh, and then so I got let me pull it out.
So you just got that one record today, or?
I got 4. I'm just pulling them out is all.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then this Tory EP. So it's just she had a
Lame.
live album, and these are the CD has 4 bonus tracks, so these are just the bonus tracks on vinyl, the CD
Cool.
bonus tracks, and then it's actually has a signed insert,
Oh wow,
and
that's
then
really cool.
and just on Facebook today, it's sort of and this is the color. It's sort of a I don't know, controversy, but in Canada and in the UK, the all they're getting is black vinyl and it's not signed. And then people are, at least I see on Facebook, like the Facebook groups or Facebook friends, like buying it and then getting pissed about it.
Yeah.
So that's like a sort of thing. So I don't know why
Weird.
that
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. Like a US only thing. That's not fair. Like,
I guess they wanted to make it more special for the US.
yeah. I mean, I guess. Yeah, you know, there different pressings have happened in different countries over the years, but it's not fair when it's a record store day thing and it's supposed to be I don't know.
Yeah, but yeah, nobody, because I'm friends with this Facebook friends with this guy in Canada who's a Tory fan, and he didn't know that, so he waited in line to get
Oh
it,
no.
thinking it was signed.
Oh, what a
Because it was
bummer.
not reported.
Yeah.
I think they did say that the UK is not getting the special edition, but they didn't say anything about Canada.
Mm-hmm. Oh
I
shit,
mean,
Canada.
whatever. So
Yeah.
that's breaking news.
So he
But
gets home and opens it up and like, what the hell is this?
yeah, but this is, in terms of a soundtrack, this is a very rare soundtrack, one I've always wanted, and
Yeah.
the store had it for a decent price. And this is The Wraith. This is a movie with.
Oh
This
yeah.
is a ridiculous movie with Charlie Sheen.
Charlie Sheen, when he's like a teenager, right?
Yeah, they're like
Yeah.
car racers, and then there's an alien that comes down and starts racing them.
Yeah. I remember seeing that years ago. That's what's on the soundtrack.
But it's like it's basically an AOR soundtrack. So
Yeah.
you have Stan Bush, who does the songs for the Transformers movie.
Oh yeah, he's great.
Honeymoon Suite, which I love, the Canadian band. Bonnie Tyler, of course. And then there's 2 metal songs. So you have Secret Loser, Ozzy Osbourne, which is from the Ultimate Sin.
Okay. That's fitting. That era.
And then the song Never Surrender by Lion. And I believe
Never surrender.
that's a different song, I think.
Oh yeah, that's the other Never Surrender. That's the pop
Yeah.
Never Surrender, not the metal one.
I think Line. I assume you've seen Friday the 13th Part 4.
Oh yeah.
The final chapter.
Yeah.
The Crispin Glover dance.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a Lion song that's playing.
Oh, the one where he's like, "This is so fucking good," or whatever.
Yeah.
Or the other.
So this is not a band, I think, that did a whole lot, but they have a song on the soundtrack.
I always thought that song was cool on the Friday the 13th. Sounds pretty. That's pretty. I like it.
Yeah, it's metal enough.
It's metal. Yeah, yeah.
And then, but in the little tidbit, in reality, when they were filming that, he was listening to AC/DC Back in Black.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and if you rewatch it, it makes a lot of sense. Like he's doing it's time to the Back in Black riff.
The herky jerky dancing moves.
Like he's doing it to the riff.
So that's probably what makes it such a weird dance move, is that it doesn't match the music at all, you know? Because people, that's always been a thing where people are like, oh, that we love that dance because it's so Crispin Glover and so weird, you know?
Yeah, and yeah, so that's what people don't understand. If they actually had Back in Black, I don't think, because people say that dance does not fit that song. What is he doing? But they don't realize that they don't play the song. They just play a temp song or whatever.
See, I didn't know that. I didn't know that at all. That's so funny.
when they're filming, and then figure out licensing a real song.
Oh, okay. That makes
There's
sense.
there's a few examples though, which is pretty amazing. I think the Sergio Leone, his last 2 films, he had Ennio Morricone compose and record the score before shooting the movie. And they don't record the dialogue
Hmm.
on set. So they would insert, or at least certain scenes, they would actually play the score while the actors were acting the scene.
Wow. That would be.
So that's those 2 movies are the only instance I know of people actually doing that. I'm sure it's happened a few times, other
Yeah.
times, but
That sounds very risky to me. It's like, how are you going to know it's like, how are you going to know if it's going to fit as well as you? I guess it's up to the composer to envision something that you want him to, or that you instruct him to.
yeah, because normally when a composer composes it, they're doing it, they want the locked edit, so they're very, I guess it depends, but some of them, they're
Yeah.
very specific, like it's got to be timed to the millisecond.
Yeah.
If you think of like like the cat jumps out of the cupboard, like
Mhm.
they want to time it exactly, so they want the edit, at least the picture lock edit, just the general edit, like locked in, so they can time it exactly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's a science.
yeah. Well, so that was Record Store Day. So I did have like some other movies I could show off that I just bought.
Yeah. What you got?
Oh Jesus!
I'm always buying movies.
Yeah, so I pre-ordered this, and this just came in, and I have not watched this is the 4K of Mad Foxes.
Ooh.
So another heavy metal tie-in is that Crocus does songs for the soundtrack. If you remember Crocus,
I sure do.
I think they're Swedish.
Swiss.
Oh, yeah, they're Swiss. Then this is a
I can't believe I just corrected you on a Crocus fact.
You should have said fuck you.
I should have just canceled the stream, just like left.
Nobody has ever gotten aggro about the Swiss before.
Or Crocus.
Yeah. If you want to see a cool music video, oh God, what's the name of it? Is it Screaming in the Night?
I think so, yeah.
They have a music video that's very much like Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome.
Oh, cool.
But I think it came out before Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome.
Okay.
That's something I want to look into.
Yeah. Who ripped off who? Is the question here.
Yeah.
It's a killer song. I actually like some Crocus stuff. That song Headhunter, the whole album, or the album Headhunter, awesome album, the whole from start to finish. I don't so much like, I haven't really heard any other Crocus albums that I've liked as much. Like it's a little bit too AC/DC for me. Like I don't need any other bands that sound like that. No offense to AC/DC themselves,
yeah.
But
yeah, but this movie is insane.
I want to see it.
It's from the early 80s. It's like a playboy goes into a bar, I think in the red light district, and he's like with this like 16-year-old girl that he's dating.
Because back then,
and he's like 40, and he drives a Corvette Stingray.
I'm
and
sold.
then
I am sold.
He just runs afoul of a biker gang, and they're like a pseudo-Nazi biker gang.
Okay.
And then the movie just keeps escalating from there.
So the playboy guy, he's the hero of the movie.
Yeah.
So you're rooting for a guy that's dating a 40-year-old. Yeah. Okay.
And then like it just keeps escalating. So like, the gang kills one of his friends, then he gets his friends, and they kill some of the bikers. And it's just absolutely ridiculous. And the ending is mind-blowing.
Sounds like a
literally.
fucking blast.
So
Yeah,
I have like a foreign DVD of it.
okay.
I don't remember if it's like Italian or something. So I don't think it ever legally came out in the U.S.
Damn.
Until now. This is a company called Cauldron Films, which I
Okay.
don't have anything else by.
Yeah.
And this is on 4K.
Okay.
So it's kind of mind blowing that you can get stuff like that. Like, 'cause this is stuff like movies back in the day you would hear about and it'd be impossible to find, and you'd have to
Yeah.
you have to go on the Italian eBay when that was a new thing and order something. And
Web Italia. You just
yeah,
go.
and then oh shit. See, I still don't know how to do this. The chat, okay, here.
Oh,
So I was not seeing the chat.
yeah.
So
We got.
because I have to expand it. I'm still not used to this.
Oh, so on your
Okay,
end, it
so
doesn't just show up automatically like it does mine?
no.
Oh, shit.
So I have to select it after I go live, I think.
Okay. Because mine has been here the whole time.
Oh shit. Okay, so
Yeah, James
let
and
me go
Scott.
back. So sorry guys.
We should probably mention that we are only going to respond to super chats, by the way.
I'm not set
Just
up for
kidding.
super chats.
I'm joking. I'm joking.
I should just put I'll put a PO box you can mail cash.
Tips for Tom.
and-
Hashtag tips for Tom.
And Scott says I didn't watch this when it came out because there were no lasers or monsters in it. But I'm not sure what he was referring to. Was this Gleaming the Cube?
Let's see.
Sorry, I fucked this up.
No, yeah. It is Gleaming the Cube, yeah, because that's an early comment. I get it, Scott. I get it.
Scott, this was the other thing I was looking for, but they didn't get it or were sold out. This was the Dwarves Blood, Guts, and Pussy bonus tracks on a picture disc.
I dig the Dwarves.
So I was a little bummed I didn't get this, but I'm not going to go. I went to I have 2 record stores down the street from me, so I went to the shitty one also just in case they had it, but they didn't. And then James says, I'm the biggest Gleaming the Cube fan. Well, I don't know how ready I am, but
but we are here, so that counts for something.
And then James got the Tony Martin box set. Okay.
Yeah, that's so cool. I'm a big Tony Martin fan, truth be told. So yeah, that was a nice victory for me to see released.
Yeah, and then Sherilyn Fenn also because like her outfits in that movie, she's super hot because she's like I don't know, like maybe slightly post-punk or something, or slightly Madonna, but like early Madonna,
new wave or whatever look kind of thing.
Like, but like not like new wave by someone who doesn't know what new wave is.
Yeah,
like costume designer, but it works on her.
I mean, as soon as you said early Madonna, I knew what you meant because when I was a little kid, I was like obsessed with her. So yeah, but Madonna, not Sherilyn.
Okay.
I think I'm going blind.
All right. Okay, so I'll try not to screw this up. So, but I still have not watched the Mad Fox's 4K, so I will have to do that soon.
I'm sold on that movie. I'm gonna probably order that.
It is offensive in spots, but I'm sure that's a selling point.
I mean, the premise already is pretty sleazy, so if you're shocked by much beyond that point, it's like that's on you.
Yeah. The ending is incredible. I don't want to give it away.
Good.
You'll never guess how it ends. You would think like, he kills all the gang members or he gets killed, like the bleak ending, but no.
It's something out of left field completely.
Yes.
Awesome. I love that. That's like one of my favorite way for almost any movie to end. I am a sucker for an ending where I'm just like, why did they why did they make that decision? Didn't, it doesn't tie into the story. I'm so fascinated with just like the artistic decisions to like completely just almost take the risk of ruining your entire movie by, going some wild turn.
So I think Chris Navy sent me a
That's funny. James mentions that Going Blind, that Kiss song. I'd forgotten about that song, and then as soon as that comment pops up, I'm like singing the chorus to it. Such a stupid song too. Oh, and James also, Dark Tower. I had no idea about that. We were talking, James and I were talking the other day about Mike Flanagan was directing something, some kind of a remake or tackling a story of some sort. And I thought I said I thought he was talking about the Exorcist movie. I guess he's going to do a Dark Tower. Ooh, what do you got there?
Okay, I'm a big Shaw Brothers fan.
Shaw Brothers, yeah.
The Hong Kong studio. They made a ton of martial arts movies, and I cannot get all three of these coordinated. But these are three new releases that they had, and they both have lady in the title, oddly enough, which I think is just a weird coincidence. So it's Lady with the Sword, the Lady Assassin. I haven't seen these yet. I did watch Lady is the Boss. I've already seen this movie. I have an Australian DVD, so it had not previously been released in the US, I don't think.
That's cool.
But this is like a vehicle for Carl Way, however you pronounce her name. One of the, I guess, more well-known Shaw Brothers movies is one that she stars in called My Young Auntie. And it's sort of a martial arts comedy, and it's like kind of battle of the sexes. So this is basically like set in the early 80s when it was filmed. So it's like that one was a period movie. This is modern for 1983 or whatever. Where there's a sort of a traditional male martial arts. I don't want to say club, but what do you call that? It's not a dojo.
Like a den or like
what
kind of word? Yeah.
But the master dies, and then she's the new master because she's the daughter of the master. But she's very like Americanized. Like she says, oh, I was out visiting Hollywood, and like she shows up wearing Daisy Dukes and mirrored aviator sunglasses, and she's a woman, and they're like, whoa, this is different. So it's kind of like a battle of the sexes, light kung fu comedy.
Sounds fun.
But I really liked it. I liked it even better than what I remembered it. There's an amazing scene where she makes a group of the guys get BMX bikes, and they dress up in the BMX gear, and then they fight a gang. Like a gang interrupts them, so it's a BMX kung fu scene. So
awesome.
they use the bikes to they're on the bike, and then they take it off and whip the guy in the head, or like they crush a guy's leg with the bike.
That's awesome. They should have done like a decapitation with the back tire, but yeah, missed opportunity.
It's not the whole. It's just one scene.
Yeah.
But it's really, really awesome. So if you're into, I don't know of any other movie with because there's like that movie BMX Bandits with Nicole Kidman.
I've heard of that.
I don't know of any BMX martial arts.
No, can't movies. Say I do. I doubt it's a subgenre,
Yeah.
Yet.
Okay. Um, one other movie I could talk about. So you talked about Trick or Treat, the Blu-ray. I ordered the $70 or whatever. That's the one that I have.
Ooh.
And then
What does that come with?
oh
It can't just be the movie.
yeah, Red Letter Media did Matt
Oh, okay.
Fox's on Best of the Worst. Yeah, I
So
do
I've
remember
definitely
that.
seen that then, because I've seen like every video they
Yeah,
made.
so if you want to get a taste of it, although they probably spoil everything.
True.
But I did see it before Red Letter Media, because this was this was like 2005 or something is when I bought it from somewhere in Europe or something.
Yeah.
Oh, so I had this on VHS, but then I sold it and made a copy just because I needed money. So this is my bootleg version. So I referenced them last time, but Dead Pit Radio is friends, and he's occasionally on there with Michael Felcher, who owns Red Shirt Pictures, who released Trick or Treat. And they said that he is planning to release a movie called Hunter's Blood. And this is my bootleg version that I copied from an original tape that I used to have. Hunter's Blood 1986, which has only been released on VHS.
Dang.
And so I'm wondering if that's still the case, if that's actually coming out on 4K. But this is basically a Deliverance knockoff. So it's the city, but it's Deliverance. There's just more people. So like there's more
Not so stripped down.
more city slickers and more rednecks.
Oh, okay.
And then Clu Gulager's in it. There's a bunch of people you will recognize. Apparently Billy Bob Thornton is in it for 2 seconds.
Wow. Weird.
As one of the rednecks. Of
I
course.
could see that. I could see that. Yeah. That would make sense.
So there's like Deliverance, and then Southern Comfort is a really great Deliverance kind of knockoff.
That movie I'm aware of. Still haven't seen it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one to really check out.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard it's good.
It's like a military group on a I guess you call it like a test assignment in the bayou. And then this guy fucks around with one of the bayou residents in the deep bayou.
Ooh, don't do that.
And and so then it becomes like, but the locals don't realize that it's just a military what do you call it when they're just testing whatever it's called, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's just a test to go, is all it is, or just an exercise.
Oh, okay.
They think it's real, like they're coming to do something to them.
Oh, okay.
So it becomes a little war, like a mini war between the Cajuns and this military outfit.
Actually sounds good. So it's like a misunderstanding leads to an escalation. That sounds good. Actually, that could be a tense. Yeah.
So it's more like
I like it.
War-esque tactical version of Deliverance.
Yeah.
And I have the 4K. So it's in every format pretty much. But this is very much like it is, I think, a lesser version of in the genre, but still pretty fun. But the interesting thing is that it has some really great gore in it. Which
that's big for me.
Which most of these Deliverance, there's like Rituals and Deliverance and Southern Comfort are three big ones that come to mind.
Okay.
This one at least has some really cool gore, and there's one kill in particular which is fucking incredible to me, and I'm not going to spoil it.
Yeah.
But to me, it's one of the best gore kills of all time.
Oh man.
So I don't think the movie's that great.
Okay. but you have to see it for that gore kill.
If
Absolutely.
if you're one of these gore hound people,
I am for sure.
like one of the rednecks dude just gets absolutely fucked up.
Okay, I'm 100% sold. You're talking. Are you still talking about Southern Comfort?
Oh no, this is Hunter's Blood.
Hunter's Blood. Okay, so I
I'm
have to
sorry.
wait. I have no. That's fine. That's probably my bad. So I have to wait now because that's not even available to watch anywhere, is it?
I don't think so. It's
Oh,
probably
okay.
on YouTube.
Oh, okay. I guess. Yeah, I'll check. Okay. Yeah, that
Yeah.
sounds fucking awesome.
Um,
So I'm gonna keep an eye on what's his company again? Red Shirt.
yeah, they're
Okay.
releasing through Synapse,
Okay.
but like the Dead Pit guys said that several. It might have. It's basically soon after Trick or Treat came out that um that they're releasing Hunter's Blood at some point. Is Hunter's Blood worth buying? Like I said, I don't think the movie's that great. If you've seen, but the gore is really good. So I would compare it. The thing I would compare it most to is this movie Rituals with Hal Holbrook, which I think is a considerably better movie. Uh, but this has, the really cool kills.
Yeah.
So, um, all right. Hold on. Okay. I have tons of shit, but I can at least do one more. This is one I got in the past week or so. Last Embrace. This is 1979. This is Jonathan Demme, who did Silence of the Lambs and a bunch of other movies.
Mm-hmm.
I had never seen this. This is basically
Either.
his Hitchcock ripoff. And starring Roy Scheider, obviously from Jaws and a million other things.
Yeah.
Roy Scheider is always great.
Yeah, I love Roy.
But this movie's like the score and the cinematography is really great. Like if you think of like Brian De Palma when he's especially ripping off Hitchcock.
Oh yeah.
So it has that vibe to it.
Okay.
But the plot is really weird, and to where I have to really. So you think it's like because Roy Scheider plays a contract killer, but it's not really. You're not really sure. It's like it's like almost like a killer for the CIA, but they don't really explain it. It
It's
seems
kind
like
of like Sam Neill in Possession, where like he's a spy. They don't ever really go into details about what agency he works for, or who he spies on. Yeah, kind of a.
It's almost like he's a deep state CIA killer or something.
Yeah.
And Christopher Walken is his boss.
No shit. Wow. Christopher Walken and Roy Scheider together. That's cool.
Yeah, and then what's her face? She's in 2 Woody Allen movies. Take the Money and Run in Annie Hall, and I forgot her name.
Yeah, me too.
She's like the maybe femme fatale, maybe not, that gets sort of intertwined. Like basically, Roy Scheider's wife is accidentally murdered. Like they're going after him, and they shoot her accidentally.
Oh shit.
So he's going insane, and then but the plot of like who she actually is, because you think it's just going down like a typical noir thing, storyline.
Yeah.
But where they go with it involves he gets a note in Hebrew that says, someone's going to kill him, And then there's it's involving Jewish immigrants and houses of prostitution from the 20s.
Wow.
And then but I don't know if it just doesn't make any sense or I just need to rewatch it because of
No, it
like
sounds like it gets pretty it gets, is it like a revenge story or is it not so much?
um in a way.
But not blatantly where it's like, yeah, where he turns into Bruce Willis and
Not in the no, and not in terms of Roy Scheider's getting revenge. It's sort
yeah.
of there's forces against Roy Scheider, but he doesn't know what they are. So he doesn't know somebody's trying to kill him. He's not sure who it is.
Okay.
But it just goes in a super weird direction.
Yeah, I'm sold on that one too. That sounds
I
cool.
don't want to spoil it,
Yeah.
but it just might not make any sense.
No,
I don't know.
it makes as much sense, honestly, as it needs to right now, in my opinion. Like you've told me enough, and you haven't told me too much. So I'd say that's a good job on convincing me.
But like it's like the score and how it's filmed is really excellent. It's the same cinematographer. It's Tak Fujimoto who shot Silence of the Lambs and Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and just a million other things. And then this is Cinematograph. This is the second thing that I have from Cinematograph. This is a Vinegar. Yeah, Janet Margolin. James. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know her from Take the Money and Run in Annie Hall. And then Christopher Walken is also in Annie Hall.
Oh, wow.
So this oddly, this movie, I would describe it like Brian De Palma is like if Woody Allen wrote a Hitchcock homage and then Brian De Palma directed it, but it's not funny.
That's
and also because Janet Margolin and Christopher Walken are in Annie Hall and they're in this movie.
Yeah.
So it just has a really weird tone, at least in the second half. But Cinematograph is it's kind of, they have this like book from the 70s thing. Where you
wow, that's a nice release. I like it.
Yeah. So they also put out Little Darlings, a movie I absolutely love. That was their first release, and they already have a bunch of others.
I remember Little Darlings. I'm gonna have to refresh myself on that one. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah. It's like coming of age. The girls at a summer camp. Oddly, it was released by Paramount. And it's a summer camp movie, and I think it came out 6 months before Friday the 13th. So it was the summer camp movie, but it could not be more different from Friday the 13th. It's like girls learning about sex at a summer camp, but it's written by women, so it's nothing creepy about it.
Yeah.
So let's see. Well, Chris is coming. I think he wasn't sure about the time.
Oh yeah.
But we can start talking about Gleaming the Cube.
Yeah. Gleaming the Cube.
And then Scott said there's a decent VHS rip on YouTube of Hunter's Blood.
I'll check that out too, Scott.
So you can, there's one kill, I think you'll know when you see it.
I would imagine so. I don't think there's no way it's a kill where you're like, was that the one? I don't know.
But it's like it's very, it's like in just terms of it's very realistic. It's like, holy shit, did they actually just shoot a guy? I already said too much, but and James says, oh yeah, that was a weird movie. Yeah. So I was expecting sort of a generic Hitchcock ripoff. So at least it doesn't go in the generic Hitchcock ripoff.
Yeah.
But there's a lot. It's very like certain shots are just like obvious homages. Like it's an intentional homage to Hitchcock. Like they're
Yeah.
not even hiding it.
Yeah. I like that though. I'm kind of okay with that because I'm a sucker for aesthetics.
Okay, we could start talking about Gleaming the Cube.
Gleaming the Cube.
I have notes. So this is the movie I'd seen multiple times on TV as a kid. I don't think I had seen Rat. I always compare this like as a triplet with Ration or Ration, Rad and Thrashin'. Rad, Thrashin', and Gleaming the Cube. Even though Rad is not a skateboarding movie.
Yeah, it fits.
Yeah, like those are the three like extreme sport movies of the late 80s to check out. Or whatever you want to call that. I always just tied them together in my head.
Mm-hmm. I see the I totally see the Rad connection.
But Gleaming the Cube was the only one I really saw on TV in the early 90s. Like the other two I saw later. So had you ever seen the movie before?
Nope. No, I had never even heard of it until last week when you told me about it.
Oh yeah, that's right. And then Chris said he had seen it, but it was a long time ago.
Yep. So luckily it was available to stream, and I watched it today.
Yeah, and apparently it's on Amazon Prime, I think.
I think that's what you said, yeah. And on YouTube, if you watch it on YouTube, there's various rips of varying qualities, so you got to find a good one. But yeah, I had to go through 2 or 3 before I was like, all right, I'm sticking with this one. But you know.
And this is the VHS cover. So the US DVD that came out in the late 90s basically has the same cover.
Okay. It's funny in that cover style too. Just looking at that cover, it's like something about that it looks like so many other movies that is it just me? Like, look at that cover. Obviously you're familiar with the movie, but like whoever did that layout, they had to have done a lot of work around this time.
Yeah, it totally looks like, other than there is a skateboard on the cover, but if you take this image out, it just looks like a generic cop drama action thing.
Yeah, like that. It just looks so of its time, not in a bad way. Just for me, it's very comfortable to look at.
But I think they were selling, or there were at least this the VHS, they were selling it as like an action movie, and not like we're gonna sell it to the Bones Brigade fans.
Yeah.
Or it's all like punk rock stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. They wanted to go for the more broad market.
Exactly. So what do you think about the theme song? I could try to play it.
I actually put that in my notes because it plays right up. I'm pretty sure it's playing when the movie starts. So it's the first thing you hear. It's a good song. I
don't want to get a copyright thing.
Yeah, if you play it for too long, yeah. And the song is called Gleaming the Cube, because that's one of the first things I looked up, because I was like, okay, who is this? What's up with this song? It's cool. I like it. The guy's name is James House, right? Am I right?
The guy that sings?
Yeah.
Who knows? But it's just like many 80s movies has like a generic AOR.
Oh yeah.
Theme song. And it's a good one.
It's a good song. I dig it. But yeah, you're right. It's it could be a number of, if you just weren't paying attention, this could be a number of thousands of different songs from that era. But it's catchy enough, and like I said, I paused the movie after like 30 seconds. I'm like, I guess the music fan in me, I'm like, I had to look the song up and see who. And I was surprised that like not only the James House guy, but all the writers. I had not heard of anybody. Probably just a bunch of session people, but a bunch of names. Wasn't familiar with a single one of them.
Yeah, same. So James has a great comment. Police Academy 4 has pretty much the same skaters as Gleaming the Cube.
Really?
Yeah, so that's awesome.
That is awesome. I would have known that.
And yeah, so there's no soundtrack album. I did check.
Oh, really?
I think I would have. I'm super big into 80s soundtracks,
Yeah.
and I have a ton of them.
You would have came across it, or
Yeah,
over the years, or yeah.
because I have the Rad soundtrack,
Man.
and the Wraith soundtrack, which is street racing. So yeah, no soundtrack album, unfortunately.
That should be a thing. Well, unless it's a rights issue, that should be a thing. Maybe that maybe Record Store Day could put out one of these years, but it would be a terrible seller. Nobody would buy. I'm like, somebody should invest money into making this happen. Nobody's gonna do that.
Yeah, the problem is there's not enough. If there were a bunch of punk rock songs on the soundtrack, then that would totally sell.
Yeah. It would, yeah. There's just not enough on there to warrant a release.
Oh, I think we got.
But I'd buy it.
Hold on, Chris. Chris.
Hello.
Can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yep. And I think everyone is Chris visible.
Yes.
All right.
Awesome. Thank you for joining.
I apologize for being late. I thought that this was getting started. I don't know. I suck at times, and I also suck.
Me too.
Like with time zone differences even more. So
me too.
If I'm late, I apologize. If I'm early, then I'm early.
How about you're right on time?
Yeah, but it worked out because we just started talking about the movie because we were bullshitting beforehand. I showed off I talked about Record Store Day randomly, but I just showed off some Blu-rays that I got and some VHS tapes and some random stuff. But that's the past.
Right.
We're talking about Christian Slater.
Yes.
Oof.
So one question, rewatching it, one question I had, something to think about as the movie relates to the idea of the poser. And I still don't know exactly, but like, is Christian Slater a poser in this movie? And I think I have conflicting ideas about it. So just something to think about.
I'm thinking already about that.
Well, you know what? There is that part when he cuts his hair, starts dressing like a preppy, all for that girl. So that's poser behavior.
Major poser.
Yeah, big time. And I mean, she was cute. The bangs were awful, but it was the late 80s, so I'm willing to give her a pass on that. But he was a poser, definitely. At that point in the movie,
But what if he was just dressing like that to get laid? Dudes do shit like that.
I did think about that, but I have a retort.
Okay.
Her father runs the drug operation. So I thought it's like a two birds with one stone situation where he dresses preppy so he can get near the father to investigate the murder.
Yeah. So that whole storyline, the murder, I'm kind of feeling like where are we starting in the story exactly? Because there's a lot to unpack with the kid who was investigating it, the murder, the people involved in that. So are we like where are we jumping into the storyline here?
We can go in the beginning.
Yeah, we had just really
James is asking if you hit a record store.
No, I didn't. I think that the only thing I would have been interested in is the Black Sabbath, Eternal Idol, but I saw that it's not on black vinyl. So, oh, you got that? Yeah, okay. I've been waiting. I've seen them on clear. I think that one's red. I'm waiting for the black pressing because I would like to have that one on vinyl. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really care, generally speaking, what color it is either way, unless it's like fits the aesthetic of the cover really well.
Yeah.
So
I care a little too much, and I'm also very preachy and righteous about it too. So
I've heard YouTubers, VCers as they call them, that will only buy colored vinyl.
yeah.
So they're like the opposite of you.
Yeah. And I have a word for those ones, and but we won't get into that on this stream.
Yeah, so this is what I'm saying with James. But the question is, I think well, we'll get to that question.
Tom,
So,
also the poser question. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But the poser question, I was thinking about that, and there's the part where he's ripping all the posters off of his wall.
Yeah.
Taking shit a little too far,
Well, and that too, and well, first of all, there were some sweet posters that he had, like that
DRI,
DRI
the
poster.
DRI poster.
And I was also trying to kind of put together his jacket. Did you notice he had Crass stenciled on the back of the jacket, but then had a Metallica patch? Yeah,
but he also did have a Gravedigger patch, a very unposer band to have.
I didn't see that. Wow.
Yeah, I think it's on his shoulder, and it's faded.
Okay.
You got to look for it.
Yeah,
it's obscure as shit.
I think the real answer is that the costume designer just grabbed stuff she didn't know what they were.
Of course.
Because he's wearing, that was a little confusing to me, because he has the Cramp shirt.
Yeah.
I never knew of anybody. It's like, I'm Crass, or at least in the 80s and 90s, like I'm Crass, Metallica, and the Cramps are my top three.
Right.
That doesn't seem to fit me.
Yeah, that was a bit of a head scratcher there, looking at the bands in the movie. But
if it was nowadays, yeah, perfect. Yeah.
Well, you know what was interesting too, when he became a poser in the movie, and he went preppy to get with that girl. Yeah. He went all out. Like he had, the aviator sunglasses. He had like the Pat Riley haircut. He had like the Docksiders and the cardigan sweater. It's like, let's pump the brakes on this a bit, man. It's just start by tucking your shirt in, and then work your way up from there. But
he's Mr. Izod all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So in the beginning, I was thinking about this. The movie starts with the statue of John Wayne.
Yeah.
And I initially thought that was weird.
It was.
I mean, I think of that's not very punk rock.
Mm-hmm.
I think of like John Wayne was a Nazi. And
it didn't fit. It didn't have anything to do with anything. It was just like.
But I think because I think the idea was that it ties into the ending, and the director was trying to say that like, it's kind of a Western-y thing where it's like Christian Slater, like the skateboard is his horse.
That's a good
point.
He
has the cavalry coming over the horizon at the end.
Great. Yeah, that's true.
So I think that's what they were going for.
Well, and then also at the beginning of the movie too, the cavalry, they were also on the airport takeoff. I don't know of many airports out there that allow teenagers to skate on the tarmac. It seems like there are some definite safety issues there, but it was the 80s. That was pretty killer. And being like a teenager, like 12, 13, seeing something like that, it just gets the adrenaline flowing,
Yeah, totally. And I guess, Tom, also there is a little bit with the John Wayne thing, and I might be trying to connect two dots, but the movie does kind of have a little bit of a political slant to it too. And John Wayne was, the American figure for fighting, the whatever's bad in this world. politically.
They
or
mentioned
you know,
communism, because there's the Vietnam tie-ins.
it's not
That's
fleshed out real well, but it's in there.
Yeah, I'd have to think about that one because that didn't really occur to me. But
Okay.
that's a good point.
Yeah.
And then they also kept talking about going back to Bangkok. Like Thailand and Bangkok are two different. I didn't really understand that tie-in. It's like
Yeah.
there were, it was all about the Vietnamese anti-communist, uprising or whatever. But then they kept talking about going to Bangkok, unless if they wanted to, I heard the red light district there is supposed to be pretty entertaining, but maybe. But yeah, that was a bit of a head scratcher too.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And then he has this group of buddies. So Tony Hawk, a pretty gangly and nerdy Tony Hawk, who works at Pizza Hut. When Pizza Hut was good.
Yeah, old school Pizza Hut.
And then I thought I saw he has this like Cholo-esque the buddy. I think I saw him wearing Z Cavaricis at one point.
Yeah.
He's got the shirt. Yeah.
Yeah, the Cholo shirt
and the headband and everything. Yeah, that guy. It's a cool squad. I like the kids in this movie.
You know what? I wonder if the John Wayne statue, I think, wasn't that the airport maybe? Because I saw in the background, there was TWA Airlines sign in the back. So it was John Wayne, I think is the name of the airport maybe in Southern California.
That's true. Yeah. They probably just used the statue because it looked cool, to be honest, and probably doesn't really tie into much. But other than what Tom said, though, the Western part was cool.
Yeah, that's sort of, I don't know. It just seems like a director thing to do.
I like it. Yeah.
Of like it's just like I'm making a genre. You just always hear about like old school directors, if they're making like a new hit movie, they're like, oh, this is like a Hitchcock movie. This is like an old Western.
Mm-hmm.
They sort of bring it back to the genre stuff that they know.
Yes, that's true.
So you hear even like John Carpenter, he'll say like, well, this movie is like a Western.
Like half his movies are Westerns in his eyes. Yeah. And I dig it. I that approach is cool. You could say the same thing about like Near Dark, those movies like that are cool, where it's like, it's not a Western, but it is. I love it.
Yeah. And then, so there's of course you have to have them, going into somebody's pool or empty pool and skateboarding.
Yeah.
And that's kind of mandatory to have a scene like that.
Great scene too.
And that guy flipping out, he was like, I need to have it resurfaced and everything. Like, all just because a kid scraped his elbow, he needs to have the whole pool like resurfaced. And, I love it. Yeah.
That guy was a huge asshole. Oh my God.
One thing too, going back to the Red Barn Pizza Hut, how about that delivery truck?
That was sick. Was it like a Chevy Love or something?
It was one of those, but then it had the barn roof on the pickup truck. Like that was.
Yeah. Did they just give those out to all their restaurants? Like, you get to drive the Red Barn.
I don't ever remember seeing those
as
a kid, like driving around.
No, that'd be way too expensive to produce to mass produce. But it was really cool in the movie, though. Yeah, it was awesome. And then James makes a point here too, where he's talking about his Tony Hawk's bedroom, where it's like a underground bunker or whatever, which is super awesome.
Was okay. The one that had the that was Tony Hawk was the one who drove the pizza truck.
Oh, that's right. I'm reversing the two kids. Yeah.
Yeah, the kid who had the bunker.
Yeah.
But that was still, I mean, this movie was stacked with pro skaters. I mean, Rodney Mullen was in it. I did get annoyed with the where they would do the cuts when they would show like Christian Slater doing some sick tricks, but all they showed was from the waist down. and then they would just cut to him just
Yeah.
waist up for
They
Yeah.
did that a lot, but like, what are you gonna do? I
What are
mean,
you gonna do?
the worst aspect of that was that, well, we'll get to that. We'll get to the scene because it ties into the plot. But yeah. So to me, it's in terms of the his punk rocks, Christian Slater's punk rock style, and like all the posters, it's in the patches, like we talked about this. It's a little confused, but you generally will see that.
Oh yeah, that's as good as you're gonna get
in Hollywood movies. Like they just grab a bunch of stuff that looks cool.
Yeah.
And it's not, that doesn't necessarily fit together.
Yeah, it almost never does. Yeah.
I would say that, in hindsight, that combination of patches and posters and stuff, that he was a poser, because he was just picking pretty much just the biggest name bands of each sort of group. Like there wasn't really anything obscure there.
Yeah.
There was also a lot of suicidal tendencies in the movie too. I saw a couple T-shirts and then the suicidal hat.
You see the hat like right within the first like 30 seconds of the movie. Yeah.
We should probably
awesome.
We should probably avoid that word because the videos get blocked.
Yeah. That's true.
I'm
bad about that too.
So we can say unalive tendencies because this is a tie into the plot later.
ST.
Yeah.
But you're saying the P word gets videos blocked? The P word?
The S word.
Oh, okay.
Because I had one blocked at one point just for having the word.
Did you?
Yeah. And I just hear that it happens a lot.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, and then there's the Charles Cyphers and Stephen Bauer are the detectives. Charles Cyphers, of course, is famously in Halloween and other John Carpenter movies.
Mm-hmm.
He was just in Halloween Kills.
Was he in Kills?
Yeah.
Shit. I've seen Kills. Maybe I didn't remember him being in it. Who does he play?
He's just one of the he's like the cop that's like 90 years old.
Oh, okay.
So he's at the hospitals, but he's just reprising his role from the first Halloween. So
okay,
he's
that's
still
cool.
He's still in the town. He's like, I remember 1978. This guy's out of control. This Michael Myers. It's like, oh, thanks for the exposition, sir.
Yeah,
we had no idea.
Yeah, glad you said that out loud.
And then Stephen. So I guess we could say, in terms of the family situation. So Christian Slater's a skater. His dad is an asshole, played by Ed Lauter, who was a great supporting actor that pretty much always played assholes. I guess his most famous role is the police chief in Death Wish 3.
Oh yeah.
I've always liked him because he's just always just one of those, like, he's just New York asshole, or at least in terms of his acting style.
He looks exactly like Craig T. Nelson too. I always am thrown off by that.
Not that he's an asshole in real life necessarily, but he's just like, we need a New York asshole in this.
He's a hard ass. Yeah, he has like that hard attitude, like he's a tough guy. He was also in an X-Files episode.
Yeah, and he's in a million things.
Yeah.
But basically they have an adopted Vietnamese son in the family named Vin. And then Vin works at a he's great at math, obviously, because he's Asian, I guess.
Yeah.
But he has a 1987 laptop. And I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like an Asian in 80s, like 87, 88, like an Asian with a laptop. Like that is math skills in this movie. Like they're trying to sell you his math is out of this. His math skills are out of this world because it actually plays into the plot.
Mm-hmm.
So he works for this older Vietnamese gentleman who owns a video store and then a medical supply company, and he's doing like accounting for the medical supply company, and he notices some figures are off. So this guy's a math wizard. No possible way he could be wrong.
Mm.
So he detects chicanery. And then so he goes and investigates the medical supply warehouse, right? But then gets caught. And then so the problem is the medical supply warehouse is a front for drug smuggling.
Well, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, going back to one thing too about the movie is that some of the Asian isms would not pass muster nowadays. Like when he was doing the accounting on his 1987 laptop, and you saw it was like this primitive spreadsheet of some sort, and it would say bandages and this ridiculous figure, and then stuff like that. But did you notice that in the background you would hear like sort of that like Asian pan flute?
Oh God!
Because anytime he had a like discovered something, or you could tell the gears were moving, there was some sort of like Asian inspired instrument playing.
And it's like anytime there's an Asian in the movie too, it's like that banjo music, and it's like, yeah, it's like, could you just not have done that? Like, but whatever.
Yeah,
it's very cheesy.
It's like, yeah, someone watching the intro to Kung Fu. David
That's exactly what it is
in the background. At least they didn't do the gong.
No!
Because just remember, just a couple of years before this, in 16 Candles, they do the gong every time that the Asian guy shows up. But so this is like progress.
They did do the mandolin though. They did do that one.
It was way too much.
Yeah, agreed. Stop the Asian hate, people.
But it was also at the same time the incorporation of the Vietnamese characters and stuff was very cool. I really liked that, and then showing the part of town that he works in. I don't know what you would call that. Obviously, like I had Chinatown when I lived in California, so I don't know what they called that in Orange County, but I thought that was really cool, the incorporation of that culture, even though they fudged it up a couple of times. It has its place.
Yeah, I meant gun. It's like gun running, like illegal guns. So but it's like the legal drugs are the front for the guns. So James explained that. So he says earlier, when you had mentioned the whole communist Thailand, Bangkok, I think they're arms dealing for the revolution. So I don't know, because Eli, you mentioned like the John Wayne thing. So I'm not sure how that ties in or doesn't tie in, because I didn't fully follow that aspect of it.
Yeah,
but that's something to look into. So thanks for that comment, James.
Yeah, that's a good comment. The communism part is not. Maybe would you guys say maybe it's not fleshed out enough, or it's very they don't touch on it enough, I don't think, but it's okay.
They figured no one would give a shit, which they were correct.
Yeah.
At least general audiences.
They didn't want to make it too political or too smart, I get it.
Yeah, this is America. We
fucking want that shit.
Well, anyways, he gets Vin gets accidentally killed because they're choking him to see what he knows, and they kill him in the process accidentally, if you can call that accidental, because they are choking him.
Yeah. Not very nice.
And then the medical examiner says that it's he unalived himself, but then Christian Slater thinks that they're wrong and the detectives take that at face value, and then Christian Slater thinks they're wrong and basically investigates. So he's out to find the killer of his brother.
Mm-hmm.
So this movie, comparatively to Rad or Thrashin', it has more of a plot to it.
Yeah.
More drama.
Yeah, totally.
Then Rad is just like, he just needs to win Hell Track, and that's it, pretty much.
Yeah.
And then Thrashin' is like a little Romeo and Juliet, I guess. So there's a little more plot to that one, but this one has actual plotting going through it.
Now, one thing too about when Vin was killed, or when Vin was unalived in the motel room, another Asianism that wouldn't pass muster nowadays is when the guy with the mustache turned around and he said,
Yep.
he dead.
Yeah, I was gonna point that out too. Yeah, and I forgot. Yeah, there's a few. Yeah.
And the medical examiner's like, yeah, the Chinese guy unalived himself.
Yeah.
And they're like, he's Vietnamese. It's like, whatever.
Yeah, that's another note I took.
He's like, his attitude was like, what difference does it make now? It's like,
yeah,
that's not have some class.
Well, he goes, he says the Chinese kid or whatever, and the detective goes, he's Vietnamese actually, and the guy's like, oh, they all look the same to me, and then the detective's like, the detective's like, no, they don't. So I thought that was pretty cool to throw in that little for a movie that isn't going for super deep, there's moments of deepness,
That was borderline progressive in 1989.
Absolutely.
And that they corrected that guy.
That he corrected. I'd never seen that in a movie. Well, I mean, later, I have, but yeah, for the time period and the type of movie it is, yeah.
Well, the detective too, who I started to get annoyed with him because he was a terrible actor. First of all, he was a terrible actor.
It's kind of a dork, yeah.
But every line he had was just either something condescending that he would say. I mean, really, everything he said, every line was just something sarcastic or condescending. But then his whole, he's a private detective, okay? And he's just like, he unalived himself. End of story.
Yeah. That's it. We're not gonna look into it.
No dusting for fingerprints, nothing.
Yeah, one kind of flaw with the movie, I think. You're talking about the Stephen Bauer detective, right?
Yeah.
The main detective is like his character is written just kind of, but this was sort of a trope at the time. So over the top in terms of like almost like a giallo detective where it's like open and shut. I know instantaneously. We don't need to investigate. Yeah. You're an idiot. If someone brings him evidence, it's just to have him be sort of antagonistic to Christian Slater.
Yeah.
And then also, but it's for plot reasons to make Christian Slater say, well, I have no chance in getting law enforcement to actually investigate this. I have to do it myself. So that's kind of why.
That's a good point.
But I don't think it's written very well. Like he's very he's very over the top dickish for no reason.
At first, yeah. Obviously, they become kind of buddies. But yeah, that's true.
I mean, because now Christian Slater in the movie, what was he, like 16? Or something? I mean, he was still in high school. That's really taken on a lot to be 16 and solve a murder. But then you can solve the murder, but then the private detective can't solve the murder or the unaliving or whatever it's called. I'm getting confused here with that. But yeah, I don't know. I have a difficult time following a storyline because I'm looking at things in the background, and like later on we can talk about all the branding that I saw and things like that.
Yeah.
And James, I think Peter Kwong I think plays Bobby, right? And he's in Big Trouble in Little China as well. I'm bad with names, so I'm glad you brought that up because I did recognize him. And then we get sort of and in terms of acting, that's not something I particularly noticed at the time, but during that period, like the Heathers period, this movie, Christian Slater was just entirely doing a Jack Nicholson impersonation.
That's even at a young age, which is something I didn't expect. I was like, oh, he was doing this way back then. His shtick,
Yeah, he went all full Jack Nicholson once he cut his hair and he was
Yeah.
like the preppy,
I did think he was good though. I honestly like I thought his performance was good, for like a kid. He stands out, I think, out of I thought he was solid. Really
Yeah.
liked him actually. I've always liked Christian Slater though. Who doesn't?
Yeah. And he later would star in Alone in the Dark directed by Uwe Boll, which I saw opening night.
Alone in the Dark. Yeah, that's right. The video game movie.
Because I think it played that weekend, and then that was it. So, so I don't know what his career has been doing since then, but
not much, I don't think. Since
yeah,
then.
he's kind of disappeared. Haven't heard from him in a long time.
Not me, Yeah, haven't seen him. I miss him a little bit, but.
And then when so basically what happens, Bobby tries to double cross. He's in the bad guy squad and he tries to double cross them, but then gets shot, and Christian Slater witnesses it because Bobby was following Christian Slater. And then when right before Bobby gets shot, he says the line, "Don't give me a jerk off hand job." So
really, I didn't notice that.
I assume. So I guess that means I don't want a hand job from a jerk off.
Who would?
If it's a pleasant man, I'm willing to negotiate.
Yeah. And you bring me a guy with a good attitude, at least.
Yeah.
If this is going to go down that way.
And soft hands.
Mm-hmm. I don't want no calluses, scraping me. I gotta say though, I meant to mention earlier. Sorry to backtrack, but I won't do it too much. But like when they find what's his name? When they find him not alive anymore, I kind of didn't know if they would show that or not because this movie is PG-13.
Okay, and yeah, I didn't look up the rating, so I'm glad.
Yeah, so I kind of thought because you see it coming when they're like approaching it. You're like, oh, okay. I thought they were just gonna not show it, just do an off-screen death or whatever. But I couldn't believe they like showed him hanging, and then also that gunshot that you mentioned. Like it doesn't show the bullet penetration, but it shows blood, spraying on the window and.
Yeah, that I probably would be rated R today. Just
yeah,
the neck hanging part of it.
Yeah, it's pretty dark when they show it. Yeah, it's dark.
Because nowadays, especially since he was a minor in the movie, or at least playing the role of a minor, they would have just shown the feet, like in the frame. His feet, that's just swinging.
Yeah, that's way too much. Yeah, good point.
And then, so. One aspect of the movie is that Christian Slater has to get around on a skateboard. So skateboarding becomes part of the plot in effect.
Oh yeah.
So he does the Back to the Future Marty McFly thing where he grabs onto the bus to get around to follow Bobby. And then interestingly, when he sort of transforms himself at the end, he does that again, but grabs onto a Corvette.
On the freeway.
Yeah, on the freeway.
Gun it, dude. He's got to be going to 100 miles an hour at one point.
And the guy driving the Corvette is like, well, all right, I guess I have to.
He literally does. He's like,
pull some kid on the highway and doing 100 on the.
I'm cool with this if that's what you want, brother.
Yeah, this is safe. It's not. I'm not liable for any lawsuits.
Not at all.
Yeah, and then all right, where are we? So I like the scene. Well, first of all, the title of the movie comes from a speech from his what's his name? The actor's name is Max, I think. But his buddy gives a speech about gleaming the cube, and to me it's basically the same thing as that speech from Point Break. And I can't remember the exact but it's basically like sort of getting in sort of almost a Zen thing of in Point Break. It's what's the character's name? The Patrick Swayze.
Bodie, or
Oh yeah, is it Bodie?
I think it's Bodie, like a Body.
Okay.
Or IE.
He's like, you got to be one with the wave and ride
Yeah.
the wave wherever it
Yeah.
takes you. It's whatever that is. And then Gleaming the Cube to me is like the skateboarding version of that speech.
Totally is, yeah.
So it's all, I take it as almost like a sort of a Zen thing.
Yes.
And gleaming, not a word typical in any teenage vocabulary, especially
No.
skaters back then. I don't recall anyone ever gleaming anything,
No.
like,
No. Which now that you mentioned that, I was thinking, like, did the name of this movie maybe hurt it a little bit? It's not a good name. It's not a good title. Not a good title.
Gleaming the Cube makes me think of something Liberace-esque, like sparkly, like gleaming, or but
I had to look it up, the meaning of it, because I had never even, I guess it's a term. I'd never heard of it before. I never heard anyone say Gleaming the Cube before.
I've never heard of it beyond this movie. Like, if I just saw that title and didn't know what it was, I would assume it would be a sci-fi movie.
Yeah. I could see the Cube.
I mean, because Cube is a sci-fi movie.
Yes. And cubes often gleam. So, I mean, yeah.
Yeah. And then, so I like the scene. It's funny to me when basically, like, no one will investigate. So Christian Slater gets pissed off and to blow off some steam, he goes to that, like, I don't know if it's like a parking garage under construction or something. He starts skating around, but that scene has the worst, like, body double.
It's I wrote this down as the Footloose skateboarding scene.
Yeah,
because he's just thrashing around, and
he's like, but that particular, like, whatever the wig is particularly bad in that scene. But it's funny, just the concept of that. Like, I need to you gotta blow off some steam, and that's how that character does it. Which
it's a cool scene. I like it. I like the little I don't know, skateboarding too much. I like the little tricks he's doing with his feet. Where it's like slaloming, kind of like, I don't know. It's a cool scene. I liked it.
And then this is definitely the funniest line of dialogue in the movie, but I'm not sure if it's intentional. He then visits Vin's grave and then ends it and cries at its grave and says, like, the worst part is that the worst part is that I hate doing my own homework. And he's crying.
Yeah. It's a weird line.
And I think it's supposed to be funny. But
it kind of is.
Well, how about when at Vin's funeral, when everybody's sitting there, and then Christian Slater rolls up on his skateboard, walks over, and then just puts the chess piece on the coffin. I mean,
yeah.
And then everybody, they just look at him, and I think, what I think, Vin. I don't think anybody loved Vin. He was just adopted, so nobody really cares a whole lot. Like.
It's for his math, his calculus skills.
He was good for the math, and that's it.
I thought that too when he's crying. Like, of all, he gets one line to say, and he, like, that's what he cries about, is that he has to do his homework now. But I took that as, like, he's a teen. That's what a teen boy would say. He's working through his feelings.
I took it as, like, he's saying something to make Vin laugh. Like, if he was there, Vin would laugh.
Yep.
But I also thought, like, he's also, like, crying. So it's a little, he's not selling it like it's a joke. He's selling it like it's something very sad. So I was a little confused.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna run to the restroom. You guys can continue for just give me 2 minutes.
That's fair. Take your time. Don't rush. We can go through some of these comments.
Yeah. Let's see what's going on with the comments here.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like only one person is commenting. So
at this point, it's James talking to himself. Yeah. So I feel bad because he's probably trying to. I've been reading them, James, though. I just didn't want to interrupt anybody.
Yeah, I've been reading them too. James G. Is it Philosopher Tonight? All right, yeah.
Tonight. It's James G.
Judd Reinhold bullies the bully. Gleaming.
Yeah.
Vice versa. I remember that movie. Okay, yeah, that with
Judge Reinhold.
Oh, who was in Vice Versa? I want to say, wasn't Danny DeVito in that?
I don't remember that movie at all. I saw a lot of Judge Reinhold stuff back in the day.
Yeah, well, yeah. He was big back then. You know.
Yeah, I love
Yeah,
him actually.
he had quite an acting career, but back then in late 80s. You know.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Night Court, and then he was in the movies, and then the last time I remember seeing him was in Arrested Development. And
Oh yeah. And I'd always get him mixed up with him and I can't remember who it was, and another actor at the same around that time. I'd always get those two mixed up. I don't know if it was James Spader. No, maybe not James Spader. Someone else.
Oh, it's ruined now, Scott. We've ruined it for you.
Yeah, it'll never be the same for you now.
yeah. Sorry, Scott.
I actually could see Scott enjoying this just because I know a lot of movies Scott likes, and I don't think this would be too far off the too far out of his wheelhouse.
Yeah. So then we had talked about this earlier, but he. Wait, am I in the right spot? Yeah. So he cleans up his act. He rips down his posters. He gets
Sure
a haircut.
does.
He goes full Izod, is how I
Yeah.
would describe it.
Full Izod.
Full prep. He wants to get with Vin's former girlfriend.
Which is kind of weird too. Like, wait, really, dude? It's a little soon.
But I do Midnight's doing something. I do theorize, but there is the angle because the illegal operation, like her father is running it.
Yeah.
So I at least previously I sort of went back and forth in terms of when I've seen it, because I used to just think he only does that just to investigate.
Yeah.
Is solely the reason. But rewatching it, it's sort of weird. It's almost like a combination. Like he wants to get close to the father, but he also likes the girl.
It's both. Yeah, it's for sure both.
I didn't even think of that. I didn't connect the pieces there. That I thought it was a coincidence that her father was also the colonel, whoever who. But
yeah. I used to think. Yeah, I'm still not totally sure. I used to think that he only pretended to like her to get and cleaned up to get close to the father. And then they ended up liking each other. But rewatching it, it seems like it's both to me.
Yeah. It would make more sense for it to be an accident. Like, oh, I just accidentally, we liked each other. And I didn't think it was going to happen. I don't know. It works, I guess.
And then the other thing is you have the shirtless Christian Slater during this part when he's changing. And I have heard from women of my age ish that he was pretty much a sex symbol at the time. So I've heard that a couple times. Like, oh yeah, I love Gleaming the Cube. Christian Slater was so hot. So I feel like that was very intentional to have a shirtless Christian Slater.
Yeah, I think I think he was the upcoming, he was the upcoming heartthrob for sure. So they wanted to put that in there, to sell it, to make it a little spicy for, people that are into him. Yeah, no, I didn't even think about that. I think you're totally right.
And then the other part of, to me, this idea that he's uh, he's sort of trading in his skate stuff and his skater lifestyle to investigate is that when he goes to he blows up the section of their warehouse. He uses his skateboard. He puts like a Molotov cocktail on the skateboard and pushes it towards a gas tank and blows it up.
Yeah.
Like he's sacrificing his skateboard in order to go after these people that
Yeah.
that killed Vin.
He's
Yeah.
serious.
Like that scene, I was a little confused at first, and I had to go back and rewatch it because there were those guys who he locked in the trailer, and then the trailer just rolled. I thought at first he rolled the kerosene into the trailer and blew it up with the guys in it, and I'm like, oh my god, he just unalived some people. Like
He just took them all out.
This is getting serious here.
That would have been great.
But I didn't understand what the purpose was of blowing up that tank. Like what did that just create a distraction or?
That's a good point. Yeah, it just kind of blows up that part of the warehouse, I guess. I mean, what did that accomplish really?
And then he took the pallet and he was like the pallet's gonna like when you're however many tons of propane or whatever, like holding that wood pallet's really gonna
It's probably gonna save you. Yeah. All the fire would just go around it. That's what I think.
Yeah, I'm not really sure, but he had binoculars, so he was watching it, the aftermath. I think it was just to get the cops there.
Okay, that's a good point. Like a decoy. Yeah. I mean, it's like this movie is full of like little flaws like that, but it totally makes up for it, and like it totally works. I'm able to like overlook all the little things like that just because there's enough quality here, more than enough, I think, for me to be like, yeah, I can overlook the writing, imperfections.
Yeah, and then when he goes out on the highway in the Corvette, and the most
That's a great scene too.
The most unrealistic stunt is when he goes underneath the semi truck.
Yeah.
And that was one when I worked in a video store, like we would always play that part of it because like we just thought that for some reason, like how it's shot or how it's edited, like we just thought that was hilarious. That little section of the freeway.
You know what though? I mean, when I watched that and I saw that it got I felt my heart rate go up a bit.
Yeah, me too.
I felt the adrenaline pumping through the veins. It
was effective. Yeah. And it looked good. It was pulled off well. And I did not expect that to be like a 15-minute car chase scene. That third act is got a pretty sick third act, which is where we're at right now.
Then there was the private detective driving the Oldsmobile Cutlass Sierra.
That was for some reason super fast.
Spinning out, doing donuts, and then client it.
There's some good race, some good race sequences, and it's got the 80s action car scene thing down. I thought they did a really good job, actually.
Yeah, and then so it leads to the ending where he
is raiding
my cat is right here.
He's rampaging right now.
He knocked over my remote. So he calls Tony Hawk to wake up at 6 a.m. to bring his Pizza Hut truck over, and then so you think that Christian Slater has posed out, has gone Izod, but then he sort of like re-skaterizes himself, but it's like a more dark corporate version.
Yes, it's like Spider-Man 3.
It's like sharper image skateboarder. And then with his buddies helping him.
Sure.
And then they come over. It's a great shot where they're coming over the hill. It's like like I said earlier, the cavalry coming over.
Totally.
To save the day.
Yeah. Very Western.
And then what's his face? Look up the actor's name. I wrote it down. The Richard Hurd. It's
Oh, Richard
the
Hurd,
lead
also from Seinfeld.
the lead bad guy. So then
Yeah.
he pulls out a gun, and then Christian Slater like skateboards, like flies. It's very unrealistic, but flies
Yeah.
into the gun to knock the gun out.
Oh,
On his
Oh, yeah.
skateboard.
Yeah.
I loved it. It was a great scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I love that his friends come back, his skater friends come back in to help. Like
Yeah.
they're part. The skating is part of the plot, and how he uses his skating skills to be victorious.
Oh yeah.
Whether
As we knew that it would. It had to happen.
Yeah, like he's going down the freeway. His friends helping him, knocking the gun out. Like the skating becomes integral to the plot. So
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I actually, like I said, I love the scene with the. I know it's cheesy, but kicking or smacking the gun out of the guy's hand with the skateboard. I would have liked to have seen more of like using the skateboard as a weapon. Like skateboard flip. I don't know the terms. Kick flipping, and then the fighting with the skateboard or something. I thought would have been cool. I thought some of that might happen, but just kind of that one scene. But I liked it.
Like he ollies somebody to death.
And ollie, smack him in the face with the board or something. Yeah.
Well, he was always pulling off tricks, even when things were getting serious. Like when he was
still showing off. Yeah,
he was like when he was skating back to the motel room where and he met up with the cleaning lady who found Vin, But you notice he was still pulling off tricks, grinding curbs, doing
all the time
and all that. Like,
yeah.
Like, man, he doesn't stop.
It had to show that he's a serious skater. He does not just skate to get from point A to point B. He's mastering his tricks along the way.
Yeah.
Which I appreciated, because that's even someone that doesn't know skateboarding. That's what I wanted. I was because I was wondering at the beginning, I'm like, is there going to be technical skating stuff, or is it just going to be a skateboarding image to make the movie cool? So I was glad that they were oh, okay, there's tons of skating here. So I was glad about that.
Yeah, I remember seeing this movie as a kid. Yeah. And me coming from a family of lazy fat people, I've never really had the physical ability to pull off tricks like that.
I tried. I couldn't do it.
Yeah, especially late 80s is when my family, we were peak lazy, peak fat. But still being 12, 13, whatever, watching a movie like that, you leave it feeling like you were the one on the board, fighting crime. And
that could have been me. I could have probably done that.
Yeah.
In a different world, maybe.
Yep. So I guess that brings me to, because he does now, he's at the end, he becomes that sort of upscale version. But I guess there's a couple ways you can look at it. You could sort of look at like he's through this endeavor, he's improved as a skateboarder. So now he can. It's sort of almost like a martial arts thing. The guy has the training gi, but then at the end he's ready to fight the final boss, and he's got a new upscale outfit to
black probably.
Yeah, to show that he's excelled at his martial art.
How about this as an example? Luke Skywalker in Return of the Jedi, when you see him for the first time, he's wearing the black suit for the first time ever, and you're like, he's risen up ranks, in his
I think that's the idea, but I did take it as almost a sellout, he's now the sharper image skateboarder, but I don't think that's what they were going for. So I think they were. So I don't know. It's at some point, it is a movie made by people that don't really know skateboarding.
Yeah, they just found the right people that do by hiring the pros and stuff. And
yeah,
and they knew. Yeah, they wanted to probably cash in on the skateboarding popularity and make a movie about it, Yeah, but not
Yeah.
knowing the culture and stuff. Yeah, that makes sense.
So thinking about it, I think he is Christian Slater in this movie is a poser because the person writing him was a poser.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
true.
So he was a poser. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
but
sort of
it's
like
not his fault. But yeah, he is
like a
one.
meta poser.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Yeah, it's
agree.
in the shot. Okay.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree. But like you said, it's there's so many examples of that over the decades in like Hollywood. Like a recent example for me was when I was watching and this is an old show. I was watching The Sopranos, and I don't know if you guys ever watched it, but there's like a scene where Tony Soprano's teenage son has he's like, okay, it had been pretty much pointed out before that he was into Slipknot and stuff, new metal and stuff. And then you see him in his bedroom with an Ulver poster. And I was just like, and me and Scott have
Yeah.
talked about it many times. We're like, there's no way AJ was listening to Ulver in his bedroom wearing his Slipknot shirt and stuff. Like, and Scott's like, yeah, Scott, it was a really weird example of record labels sending their promo packs, to why did this? And then there's another scene where he's got a Stuck Mojo poster, and it's like, come on.
My two favorite genres of music actually are Viking metal and new metal, and that's all I listen to.
Yeah, Scott. Yeah.
Well, you know what though? What I thought was weird is that there wasn't much of like a soundtrack that there
Mhm.
because there were all of those punk rock and metal references, but
Yeah.
I watched all the way through the credits. There wasn't like a
Mhm.
single band really that I
No.
mean there was like one
There was the Dickie song.
the Dickies, yeah, but still like there's nothing else.
No, it was
besides
just like
that.
cheesy sequences. Really, the music was terrible in this movie, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like terrible.
Yeah, and the Dickies would have been for 89 would have not been like what the punk rock youth were listening to. It's more like late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah.
Early funk.
And the Dickies, quick mention, they did the soundtrack for Killer Clowns from Outer Space, and
Yeah.
the only movie that I'm aware of that they're actually in is a movie called Rush Week, which is a slasher. There's a Halloween party, and they actually play in the party. So if you want to see the Dickies, go see Rush Week.
Wait, is that no? That's a. Do they do the Fear song "Beef Bologna" in that one, or am I thinking of another movie?
You're thinking of Summer Camp Nightmare,
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah.
but I don't think they're in Summer Camp Nightmare.
Okay. That's a.
I don't remember what song they play or what songs they play in Rush Week, but
Yeah, I thought there was going to be like before watching this, I thought there was going to be like a soundtrack of like there's just going to be it's going to be an all punk soundtrack or something. So I was actually shocked that there was no well, other than the one example you made. But yeah, I thought that was really strange. I thought there's going to be Cramps songs and I don't know, maybe even something more mainstream. It's just not to be found.
yeah, because thrash and well, at least had
Maybe some crossover
the
stuff.
Circle Jerks.
Yeah,
There was a couple of punk songs
was there? I guess I overlooked those.
in thrashing.
Oh, thrashing. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
The Circle Jerks Wild in the Streets, I remember, is in thrashing.
Yeah.
So
that would have been cool if they added some more. If it had like a punk soundtrack, I think it would have been really, really cool. But what can you do?
Killer Clowns came out 88 or 89, I believe. So around this.
80, was it 87? Or maybe you're right, 88, 89.
Yeah, I don't.
Around that time.
Yeah.
One thing too about the movie, I pay attention to a lot of things like brands that you see and stuff like that. What about the LA Rams were all over the place in that LA Rams, and then Disneyland too. I mean, I can't imagine nowadays what you would need to pay rights usage to have Disney brand and NFL branding in your movie. That would be crazy, what you would have to pay in royalties for that. But
lots.
The LA Rams were all over the place.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't think about
Yeah.
the Rams so much. You see it like the guy at the medical facility, the whatever his name is, the owner of the company's wearing an LA Rams hat for no reason at all. Like the first time you see him, he's wearing the hat. You're like, okay, football
And there
fan, I guess.
and there was a poster in the background, and I think that
Yeah.
was still like the Eric Dickerson era probably, and then there was a Rams jersey and then a Rams sticker on on Vin's laptop. Like, I
Yeah.
guess there was some symbolism there between the Rams logos connecting everything
They
together.
did do it a lot. That's a good point.
I just took it as they're really trying to sell that it's LA,
Yeah.
but it already looks like LA because
Mhm.
it is.
Oh, was it
But
actually filmed in LA?
Yeah, I mean,
It does look like it.
it definitely parts of it
Yeah.
were.
Yeah, parts of it. Yeah.
Because it almost reminds me of like when you have a horror movie shot in Bulgaria and they want to pretend it's
Yeah.
America, so they have like
Yeah.
pictures of Reagan in the back and the American
Yeah.
flag,
Yep.
and they have Burger King. Someone eats Burger King. Like they're trying to oversell that it's American, even though
Yeah.
it's not.
Yeah.
So I just took that like they really want to sell that this is Los Angeles for some reason.
Yeah. You could be right about that.
Because they go in the LA River as well. They have that part.
Yeah.
Even the going back to the part where there was the skateboard that with the kerosene that he blew up the tank, that was still a Rams hat right there that he did something with, and then
It's true.
one of the guys then found the Rams hat and he was like, duh, look at this. It's like, what is it with the Rams?
Yeah.
Maybe it's I bet it's like we paid $50,000 for
Yeah.
this. We're gonna
We're gonna
use the
use
fuck
it.
out of it.
Yeah. I was
Get
thinking
our
that too.
money's worth.
Yeah.
All right. Do you guys want to call it? But I definitely did not want to go longer than 2 hours. I was
Yeah,
thinking
no.
like 90 minutes.
That's cool.
But I think I basically covered everything I could think of.
The only thing I meant to that I meant to point early on is that because I appreciated this. So I keep forgetting the goddamn kid's name. What's his name? The kid that dies.
Vin.
Vin. Yeah. So I thought they did a pretty good job. I know I criticized the writing here a couple of times. They did a pretty good job with Vin dying and it being impactful because he dies at like the 20-minute mark. He's not in the movie a whole lot, but I thought they did a pretty good job at fleshing his character out. Like, I don't know. I feel like the movie could have just fell apart really early on if it was like, the character dying at 20 minutes. You hardly spend any time with him. I feel like you spent enough time with him for it to be like,
yeah,
impactful.
The other thing is you see the effect on the other characters. And
Yeah.
a big part of that is Ed Lauder, the hard-ass dad. He's watching the home movies of Vin.
Yeah.
And he's
And he's feeling bad about himself.
Ready to cry about it. So
Yeah.
you see like what the impact is. So it's sort of a dual thing. You see the setup with the character and then other scenes to show that Christian Slater really wants to solve this case, get justice.
Yeah, I think the writing is strong enough at points to make up for when it's not,
like the thing is with Vin's passing, that there wasn't really a feeling of grief or anything like that. I didn't really see anything that was like it was kind of like, okay, so they were at the funeral, then Christian Slater puts the chess piece on on the casket, and then after that
the movie did not try to make you cry, right? Like they weren't trying to like, oh, this is going to be the tearjerker scene. They didn't really do that.
They cut to the part two because it was soon after that when Christian Slater became the preppy version of himself, and then the dad was driving home in the driveway
and he sees him
take, and so they went right back into the humor.
Yeah.
Almost immediately after Vin.
Yeah, you're right. That happens really quick. Yeah.
There wasn't really any grieving or crying, really.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
And also one thing too that I wanted
sloppy.
this was sort of a trend that was for TVs and movies at the time, and it was a white family adopting a kid from of another nationality or another ethnicity. That was
super good point. Super
that
good
was
point.
that was
Yeah,
something then, you know. Like I guess maybe
absolutely.
it was like DEI ahead of its time, maybe where because think about different
Different
strokes.
strokes is immediately what I thought of.
Webster,
Yeah,
um,
it was
there
huge. Yeah, everywhere, everywhere.
small wonder. It was always a
Yeah,
white family adopting some kid, like,
yeah.
but yeah,
Adopting
That's
a robot.
adopting a robot.
yeah. White people back then, they'd adopt anything. You know,
They would definitely.
Alf.
Alf. Yeah, didn't even need to be a human.
Yeah.
Fucking Alf, come on in.
He-
You eat cats? That's all right.
That fucker
Yeah.
eats cats.
Yeah. Well, there are tons of
Fuck
cats in
him.
the neighborhood. Yeah, come on in.
Fuck Alf.
I know. Fucking. I mean, Alf is basically he's a terrible person. I don't care if that's your thing. Like, we love cats over here. Coming here and eating our cats. I won't make any more jokes about that. Don't worry.
We'll end with this in terms of an Alf comment that I managed a film festival screening at a college, and then one of the movies was a documentary, and the documentary is basically the filmmaker. He used to be an alcoholic, and what inspired him to turn his life around was there's an episode of Alf about alcoholism.
Wow.
So the documentary is all about how this episode, and he was like,
that's cool. I'd watch that.
He wasn't born until like the early 2000s.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So a guy.
So he's a young kid.
Yeah, at the time.
Yeah.
Like
young
in his
dude.
early 20s, like
young
was
dude,
not born.
Yeah.
He made this documentary about himself, how this episode of Alf, and I don't remember this particular episode, but
that actually sounds really fucking profound. Like, I might actually have to watch that. Like,
I don't know how you would even find it, but
yeah,
'cause I don't remember the guy's name, but
it's a cool story to know that, like, this guy challenged his alcoholism after watching an Alf episode, or it made him whatever it takes, I think, for people to, for that switch to go off where you need help or whatever.
But it's like you because people make fun of like after school specials or these different shows. They would delve with serious topics at times, like
but they help so many people. Yeah.
Different Strokes would cover child abuse, or like Punky Brewster, when she gets locked in the fridge, like. But this guy, he said he watched this episode of Alf and it saved his life, basically. So I thought that was quite interesting. And
that is very interesting.
He wasn't born until the late 90s,
at
the latest.
Yeah. So he didn't grow up with Alf or anything. Well, no. I guess he could have, but not while it was syndicating. Yeah.
Yeah, like from a rerun or something.
Yeah, maybe his parents
or DVD.
Yeah. Because I know, like, my son, I've played him all kinds of 90s and 80s movies and shows when he was growing up that he, would not have known about otherwise.
All right, I think I have to feed Midnight.
Yeah, and he's telling you how pissed he is. Look at him in the back. Yeah. He's terrorizing your area.
Yeah,
he's pacing. I know. I am.
Yeah,
he's hangry.
All right, so I think we're done.
If you guys were to give this movie a rating, though, what would you give? Would you give it a score?
I really don't like to rate stuff.
I know it's so fucking pointless. I do it, but it's stupid.
I would have, I don't know, like 4 out of 5 stars.
I dig it.
Because I just think of now, because I try to rate stuff, I just go by Letterboxd.
Mm-hmm.
So they only have half stars.
Yeah.
So maybe a 4.25 if that's allowed.
That's allowed. It's allowed here.
I would go 2.75, and a lot of that was because there there wasn't a soundtrack really. It's you
Oh,
have
yeah.
all of these bands there,
Yep.
you know, but none of the music of any of the bands pictured in
And like I said, not only does it not have a soundtrack, but it's terrible, except for that. The theme song's killer.
right?
I mean,
True
it's
punk
perfect.
rock. And then
Yeah,
the theme song to Thrashin' is similar. It's done by Meatloaf, but it's like it got a similar tone.
Yeah, just very of the time. Yeah, I guess I'd probably give it a I'd give it a 3 out of 5. Keep in mind I've only seen it one time, you know. Don't have the history with it that you guys have, or else it could be higher.
Yeah. All right. Thank you everyone for watching in the chat. Thank you, James.
Thanks, James.
That's pretty good. I was going to say 3, 4 is great. I don't know. I don't like reading stuff. It's too hard. All right. Thank you, everybody. And Chris and Eli, thank you. This went a lot better than last week, because I'm still getting the hang of this restream.
I like it. This restream is cool.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, guys. And we're going to sign off. And I appreciate everyone watching.
Yes.
Have an awesome night. I gotta go feed my cat. Thank you, Chris.
All right. Bye.